second time, the Vince Lombardi Trophy is headed to Philadelphia. Eagles fly in Super Bowl 59.
Let's talk about one of the coldest comeback stories in sports history. Picture this, confetti raining down, Jalen Hurts holding the Lombardi Trophy, smirking like he's got a secret. Because this moment, it's years of, nah, you ain't good enough, getting tossed in the trash. Let's rewind to where it all started, 2016. Jalen Hurts isn't just a freshman at Alabama, he's the freshman. This kid's 18 years old, starting for the most ruthless program in college football. And guess what? He's balling out. Undefeated season, SEC Offensive Player of the Year. Dude's got Saban smiling, which, let's be real, is like spotting a unicorn. By 2017, he's 26 and 2 as a starter, dragging Bama to back-to-back title games. Fans are screaming his name. Teammates call him the future. And how could he not? He's got legs like Lamar, ice in his veins, but in college, the stakes are high at all times, and any slip-up can destroy a season and your legacy. Then came the championship. At halftime, Alabama's finding themselves down 13-0, and Jalen's having the worst game of his life. 3 for 8 passing, 21 yards, 0 touchdowns. Saban needs to pull the plug. In comes Tua Tagovailoa, the 5-star freshman, and dude delivers 166 yards, 3 touchdowns, including that 41-yard walk-off dime in overtime. Alabama wins, but Hurts, he's a bittersweet footnote. But here's the thing about Jalen. Dude's got that dog in him. Instead of sulking, he transfers to Oklahoma, where he balls out with 52 touchdowns and 5,000+ total yards, which are the sort of stats that make you ask, why is this guy the underdog? By November, he's a Heisman finalist. Oklahoma's 12-1, but the joy is short-lived. When in the playoff, they would get smoked by LSU. Burrow goes nuclear while Hurts throws 2 picks, and it becomes once again the same old story of second place. But NFL scouts still side-eye him, thinking he is just a runner. Philly drafts him in the second round, and fans are questioning why they drafted Carson Wentz back up. Fans lost their minds. We've got Wentz, we need receivers. But when Wentz imploded with 15 turnovers in 12 games, Hurts got his shot. In his first start, he would go 17 of 30, passing with 167 yards and a touchdown. Not bad for a rookie thrown into a dumpster fire. Then came week 15 versus Arizona, where he would put up 338 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, 63 rushing yards, which was absolutely incredible. By 2021, he's the chosen QB1, but critics still chirped that he's a running back pretending to play quarterback, and the stats definitely left room for argument with 16 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 784 rushing yards over the season. Numbers that were definitely not elite, but promising. Then 2,022 hits, 4,461 total yards, 35 touchdowns, MVP runner-up. Still, the hate stuck. With the classic line, he's a system QB, but this is such a stupid point in the world's greatest team game, and he would prove that. Fast forward to Super Bowl 57 on February 12th, 2023. Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles faced the Kansas City Chiefs in one of the most thrilling championship games in recent memory. Despite a heroic performance, the Eagles fell short, losing 38-35. Hurts was nothing short of spectacular, throwing for 304 yards and 1 touchdown, while rushing for 70 yards and 3 touchdowns, tying a Super Bowl record for rushing touchdowns by a quarterback. However, a costly third-quarter fumble that was returned for a touchdown shifted momentum in favor of the Chiefs. Hurts' individual performance stood out, even in defeat. His ability to lead the Eagles' offense with poise and precision made him one of the game's brightest stars. Still, the loss left a mark. Hurts famously said after the game, "You either win or you learn," embodying his mindset of growth and resilience. This is the kind of moment that makes or breaks you. To motivate himself, he chooses pain. He decides to make the Chiefs' Super Bowl confetti shower his phone's screensaver.
It was noticed that your screensaver on your phone prior to the beginning of last season was you strolling through the red and gold Chiefs-colored confetti, walking off the field in Arizona after the Super Bowl 57 loss. Is that still the screensaver on your phone?
It is.
Why?
Let's just see if it changes.
What would it mean for you to change it? What would it mean for you to win it?
The goal is to win. I don't need a screensaver to remind me of anything, but it's there.
The heartbreak of that narrow defeat became a driving force for Hurts. It fueled his relentless off-season work, focused on refining his mechanics and leadership skills. The Super Bowl loss served not as a setback, but as motivation for him to elevate his game further. With his characteristic focus and discipline, Hurts returned the following season with even greater determination, becoming a symbol of resilience for his team and the city of Philadelphia. This experience, while painful, would prove to be a pivotal chapter in Hurts' journey, shaping his future as a top-tier NFL quarterback and leader. In the 2024 season, Hurts and the Eagles started with absolute absolute fireworks. He would amass 4,217 passing yards, 29 touchdowns, 814 rushing yards, and 11 touchdowns, becoming the first ever quarterback with 4,000 plus pass yards and 800 plus rush yards. Oh, and that ridiculous can't throw deep narrative? Dude led the league in 40 plus yard completions. Even Skip Bayless admitted he's elite, but Jalen didn't care, because talk doesn't fill any trophy shelf. Unfortunately, the season ended before they could even get out of the wild card round with a blowout loss to Tampa Bay, an embarrassing end to go on top of a brutal 1-5 finish in their last 6 games. No one could argue with those who confidently said the Eagles were not going back to the Super Bowl in Jalen Hurts' career. The Eagles, hoping for a rebound, opened their 2024 season with a turbulent September, starting 2-2. Week 1 featured a narrow 34-29 victory over Green Bay, where Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley shined despite defensive lapses. A shocking 1-point loss in Week 2 to Atlanta exposed missed tackles and late-game failures. In Week 3, the Eagles earned a hard-fought 15-12 road win against New Orleans, but offensive issues persisted. The low point came in Week 4, when the injury-plagued Eagles suffered a 16-33 defeat to Tampa Bay, the same team who decimated them in the wild card round. They would end up losing key players A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Lane Johnson. Hurts was sacked 6 times as the Eagles' defense allowed 445 yards. Several factors contributed to the Eagles' rough start. Injuries to critical offensive players left Hurts without his top weapons. The defense struggled, ranking 24th in red zone defense and 22nd in total defense. High-priced free agent Bryce Huff registered 0 sacks in 4 games. Slow offensive starts with no first quarter points in 4 games, which forced the team into constant comeback mode. Hurts' turnover issues persisted, with 3 fumbles in 4 games and 27 turnovers in his last 22 outings. It would be even harder to argue Hurts had any clutch gene in him. Fans expressed their frustration, calling for drastic changes. Analysts criticized Nick Sirianni, referencing the team's collapse at the end of 2023. There were serious questions about if Hurts should be replaced and Sirianni fired. Philly had absolutely no patience for a slow start. Everyone was still sour from seeing the Chiefs beat them by just 3 points in the highest scoring Super Bowl in a while. But after this rough start to the 2024 season, the Philadelphia Eagles completely flipped the script. The early struggles served as a wake-up call, and following their Week 5 bye, the team roared back with a 10-game win streak that redefined their season. The key to the turnaround? Health, defense, and Saquon Barkley. Injuries that plagued the early games began to heal. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Lane Johnson returned, and the offense started firing on all cylinders. Meanwhile, Vic Fangio's defensive adjustments turned the Eagles' defense into a dominant force. Rookie cornerbacks Quinion Mitchell and Cooper DeJean solidified the secondary, while the defensive front generated relentless pressure. The numbers told the story of the turnaround. The Eagles had a 12-1 record after the bye, including a perfect 7-0 record at home. Saquon Barkley became unstoppable, setting an NFL single-season rushing record with 2,857 total yards, including playoffs. He had 4 games with 200-plus rushing yards. Jalen Hurts silenced his critics, throwing for 26 touchdowns and rushing for 12 more, with only 4 turnovers post-bye, which absolutely became a winning formula. The defense climbed from 22nd in total defense early in the season to 4th by season's end, highlighted by 6 sacks of Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl. The playoff run was equally dominant. In the wildcard round, the Eagles beat Green Bay 22-10 behind a suffocating defense that held the Packers to 232 total yards. The divisional round saw Barkley rush for 205 yards in a 28-22 win over the Rams. In the NFC Championship, the Eagles made a statement with a 55-23 blowout of the Commanders, highlighted by 3 rushing touchdowns from Hurts and a 60-yard TD run by Barkley on the first play. Any other Cinderella stories like Jaden Daniels' rookie phenom were ended by this all-time defense. Next was Super Bowl 59 versus the Chiefs in the rematch Philly dreamed of. They needed just 7 plays to march 69 yards, with Hurts delivering a couple of chunk play passes to Dallas Goedert and Dotson. Dotson's reception was initially ruled a touchdown, but was overturned on video review, setting up the Eagles with a 1st and goal from the 1-yard line. Hurts turned the next play into the game's first score. Philly's defense then delivered a 3-and-out on Kansas City's next drive. The Eagles handled the last drive of the frame, collecting 50 yards on an 11-play journey that stretched into the second quarter. That drive would ultimately result in an interception of Hurts by Brian Cook on a long throw intended for Brown. Kansas City surely hoped to catch a momentum boost from Cook's interception, but that never materialized. The Chiefs' first drive of the quarter had no more juice than their earlier possessions, as they gained just 7 yards and ended up punting. The Eagles took over near midfield, and they seized that opportunity thanks in no small part to a 22-yard third down connection between Hurts and Brown to get them into field goal range. A few plays later, kicker Jake Elliott increased their lead with a 48-yard field goal. This is more or less where things went off the rails for Kansas City. The The first two plays on the Chiefs' subsequent drive saw Mahomes get sacked. On the third, he rolled out of the pocket and tried to make a play, but he was picked off by Philly's rookie second-rounder Cooper DeJean, who celebrated his 22nd birthday in style by returning the interception 38 yards for a touchdown. The Chiefs had 3 more drives in the half, but nothing to show for them. 2 were 3-and-outs. The other saw Mahomes intercepted on the first play by linebacker Zach Bond. That interception set up a 12-yard touchdown pass from Hurts to Brown, and the route was officially on. The Chiefs tried clawing back, but there was simply never any hope. In no time, it was soon a blowout score of 34-0 with almost 3 shutout quarters. It was clear that Jalen and Philly were playing angry, with the score from the close loss from Super Bowl 57 still burned into their minds. Jalen finished the game with 221 passing yards, 3 total touchdowns, and 72 rushing yards. So many of those rushing yards were absolute daggers to a defense that covered everything except his ability to run. When the confetti fell this time, well, Jalen would have a great new wallpaper. The Super Bowl MVP trophy, yeah, Jalen grabbed that too, as he led the Eagles in passing and rushing yards, and if there was any morale breaker, it was his first down scrambles that the Chiefs were just simply short-staffed to defend as they paid all their attention to Barkley. But like a true leader, he focused his words for his post-game press conference on how the team won the game.
You don't do great things without the guys around you. So the effort, the work, always leaning on that, trusting in that, and trusting the process and staying the course and sticking to the script.
And gave himself some well-deserved recognition.
It's been a long journey. It's been a journey of ups and downs and highs and lows, and I've always stayed true to it in the end, and having this vision of just being the best that I can be, and that evolving over time into this desire and this flame inside to win. And you don't do great things without the guys around you.
Through this game, he joined Montana and Elway as the only QBs to first lose a Super Bowl, then win one. Oh, and his 14,387 career total yards in his first 5 seasons smashed Cam Newton's record. Even Mahomes gave props. He's built different. Jalen didn't just win a ring, he shut down a decade of noise. From Bama benchwarmer to Philly's hero. Because when you're fueled by failure, the sky's the limit. We hope you enjoyed this story, and if you did, then smash that subscribe button so you can stay tuned for more original and inspiring underdog stories like this. Thanks for watching.